Sorry. Our next speaker is Dr. Anaga Harur, who's a member ARC West, who's going to be talking on something very relevant. Anaga, could you share?
Yes, ma'am.
When to avoid multifocals in modern day cataract surgery.
Are my slides visible, ma'am?
Please mute everybody.
Yes, they are visible.
Please mute everybody.
Some disturbance. Yeah.
Yeah, start.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Are my slides visible and am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much at the outset. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me an opportunity to speak here. And I would be speaking on when not to implant a multifocal IOL. So clear accommodative vision is the holy grail that all of us as ophthalmologists want to give to our patients. And today we want to give them not just far and near vision, but also intermediate vision so that the patient can do all his activities without being dependent on glasses. Now, compared to monofocal IOLs, we all know that multifocal IOLs would give us greater satisfaction to our patients, but it also involves greater effort. And let's see how we can bring that effort for the benefit of the patient. Now, why do all of us fear multifocal IOLs? Even though it could be ranging from 10 to 20 or 30% of our practice, depending on our different practices, it's not just the cost, but it is the fear of a dissatisfied patient. It is the fear that the patient might end up having a lot of glare and halos, and we might end up doing an IOL exchange. Now, and hence the challenges in multifocal IOLs is not only in the right patient selection, the right IOL selection, counseling of the patient, precise biometry and surgery, and then finally, if after all this, if the patient is still dissatisfied, to know why he is and how do we manage him. So the challenges would be, first is in the preoperative and second in the intraoperative phases. Let's see when not to implant a multifocal IOL. What I feel personally is when we are using a multifocal IOL, it should be a functionally optimum IOL for that patient. So we need to communicate with him regarding what are his visual expectations, what are his lifestyle choices, his personality, what is his work, and what are the leisure activities that he does. So it's best to avoid those who are unrealistic, who are cynical, who are suspicious patients, patients who may be very finicky, hypercritical, demanding patients. Now, we all know that multifocal IOLs, especially the diffractive ones, would have almost 18% of scatter, and hence there would be some amount of glare and halos associated with these rings. So if a patient is doing very regular night driving, I would definitely avoid a patient with for him a multifocal IOL. Again, though, there are those patients who do a lot of work in dim light. Again, we do not know whether the contrast sensitivity would be good enough, or if the light to near and intermediate vision could be good enough for them, and hence it's best to at least apprise them of the situation or best to avoid them. Now, in the clinical preoperative workup, it's extremely important to get a perfect biometry and hence do a repeat reading and ensure that the readings are done before any dilatation or anesthetic drops or any kind of applanation is done. Also, check the ocular surface and rule out any MGD, treat it if it is present. Look at the topography, OCT macula, and the pupillometry also. Now, this is a patient who has an MGD, and look at the corneal staining. So these are patients who would have a biometry error. The keratometric reading would be invariable and erroneous, and hence in all these patients who have dry eye, they could be diabetics or just senile, and or patients who have used anti-glaucoma medications for a long time. A corneal surface measure assessment is very important. Patients of MGD have to be checked and pre-treated, especially when you're using premium IOLs. Also for torics and for multifocal IOLs. Now, if the patient has an astigmatism, ensure that it is symmetrical. If it is an asymmetric, irregular astigmatism, and or if it's a keratoconus, best to avoid. Again, if it's a previous refractive surgery, we know that multifocal implant in a multifocal cornea could give rise to an unpredictable outcome. There are raised higher order aberrations like spherical aberration, coma. There could be reduced contrast, and hitting emetropia could be difficult. K-metry may not be accurate. Like for example, in this post-LASIK patient, you can see the amount of greater keratometric variability in this EKR graph, and hence it's best to avoid these patients. Very important to do a very good slit lamp examination under high magnification so that you pick up very faint corneal opacities like EBMD or any other smaller opacities or irregularities. OCT macula, we always do in our patients to rule out macular pathologies. In diabetics, if it's a diabetic for just a few years with absolutely no diabetic retinopathy, you could still counsel, control, and use multifocal IOLs with caution, but explaining the patient the need for regular retinal monitoring. However, if the patient has been a chronic diabetic, long-standing or uncontrolled even for a short period, it's best, especially if the retina is showing changes at the macula, best to avoid. Glaucoma, we know definitely best to avoid because there could be field defects, reduced contrast sensitivity already. In congenital cataracts, CO rate, changing parameters, fluctuating biometry, reduced contrast sensitivity, best to avoid. Chromatic cataracts can cause tilt in the lens and hence best to avoid. In large angle strabismus and amblyopia, you could have a patient with unilateral young patient, a secondary complicated cataract, secondary to repeated iridocyclitis. This is best to avoid. This was a patient who came to us with multifocal in one eye, but as you can see here, there was no multifocality at all. So best to avoid in the other eye. Remember, a large angle kappa or large angle alpha can increase dysphotopsia in the patients. This can be done by using either an IOL master or an eye tracy. Then intraoperatively, have perfect incision and perfect surgery. If there's a zonular dialysis, it could give rise to decentration or tilt, asymmetric CCC, zonular weakness, or if there's a large PC tear, it's best to avoid because it could cause decentration or tilt. So it's always very difficult to choose an ideal multifocal IOL patient. So what you choose for your patient, even in a multifocal, could be very dicey. So you could prefer ADOPs or trifocals if the intermediate vision is more important. Moderate hyperopes are usually the happiest. Mild myopes, you have to be very cautious. If it's monofocal in the first eye, just be careful. Most best to avoid multifocal in the other eye, or you can use eye hands, which is a very good option. Size may matter. Very large pupils, very small pupils could be red flags. Small pupils, if you're using iris hooks, for example, can distort the pupil. And most importantly, counsel the patient that he might still need to use glasses for activities and that they would require neuroadaptation. Best to underpromise and overdeliver. So promising newer technologies of newer advances in multifocal IOLs could be the correct choice and give us happier patients. But if the wrong lens is selected for the patient, then he could make life hell for you. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Anagha. You showed all the issues and covered it extremely well. I have a question for you, Haripriya, so that you don't go off to sleep with us here. Now that we have multifocals with a larger central optic zone, do you think we need to be so overly concerned about angle alphas now? Haripriya, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Yeah, they are a little more forgiving today, but I think it's also a combination of factors. If everything else is perfect and the patient doesn't mind, example is not driving at night, is not a driver by profession. If everything else is fine, then I would consider being a little bit more aggressive with the angle alpha. But if the patient has any ERM or anything else, then I would definitely say no. So I think it depends on a patient-to-patient basis.
Can I answer the question, Chitra?
Yes, yes.
I would prefer to use a symphony lens if they have large angle alpha, because there's got a larger central zone, and that works pretty well for these patients.
Yes, you
I
could
don't
even
bother much about the angle alpha. If the angle alpha is a little larger on the eye trace, then I'm going for a symphony lens.
Yes, makes
So
sense.
what is your cutoff, sir, for the angle alpha?
Maybe around 8.
Yeah, and with these modern
0.8?
IOLs with a larger optic zone, you could easily go up to minus 0.7. Not minus, I mean 0.7.
0.7, yes.
Yeah, we could go in for that.
You can do that. But
So what is your experience with the ringless lenses like the Lucidus and Minivel?
Yes, I got a lot
I think I have used a lot of them and they're really good, especially in such cases. I thought that they give better results.
The only problem is the near vision is not all that good in these patients.
So they have an ad of almost +3. So
I know, but that's what we have found in a short experience. But however, the newer multifocals, the main problem the multifocals is the photic phenomenon and the loss of contrast. But the newer multifocals are able to overcome all these challenges. So becoming better and better, I think, I'm sure. Of course, all the other contraindications you have beautifully told.
Dr. Jagdish, I wanted to ask you this. Why do you feel, are you there, Dr. Jagdish?
Yes, Dr. Chitra.
Why do you feel that today we feel more comfortable using an Indian multifocal as against what it used to be some years back? What is your logic for that?
I don't have much experience, Dr. Chitra.
Haripriya?
Yeah.
Dr. Haripriya, you have
Yeah.
anything to add? Yes.
Yeah, so we do use the multifocal, but I think today with the trifocal is one other added advantage. So I think we don't have, I don't know if we have good trifocals in the Indian manufacturing platform.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We
ma'am.
do,
We
ma'am.
do.
We do.
I sort of feel, I
I
don't know what
Bio-
your thoughts are on this, but I feel that the Indian multifocals are better because of better IOL calculations which we have nowadays. The better kind of exclusion criterias which we do now, those were the major challenges. Now that we have started excluding all that and we get bang on target emmetropia, this little residual refractive error is what is most disturbing for a multifocal IOL than the angle alpha and kappa, which is so overly discussed. So I think that is one of the reasons, maybe that besides the IOL designs. So, that is my thought. And one last question. How many of you here would think of implanting a multifocal in a high myope or a hyperope or in a post-LASIK eye?
Maybe my lens of choice.
Definitely will do. And post LASIK, I also, because I'm very confident of nowadays
Yes.
hitting the bullseye.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I will definitely do it. Myope, I will put a +4 ad because these patients are all high myope. They are very used to very good vision. So you prefer a multifocal with a +4 ad or a +3.25 ad. So that gives them a better near vision because they are all used to very good near vision throughout their life. So high myopes, hyperopes, you do whatever you want, they'll fall at your feet.
Yeah, very good. That's what an excellent discussion. I'm so glad. We shall have to go on to glaucoma, but please stay on. There's a lot of cataract in these